That is water where water is not supposed to be. Yep, there's water everywhere. Where are you coming from? So we just keep plugging holes until there's no more water coming in. And that may just be the life of the boat. Where she was.
What are your deck problems?
The deck problems is I didn't know what I was doing. That's the main problem.
Well, that's, you know,
right?
We all have that problem. That's how we work.
So what was the story behind that? Because you never met Mike, right?
When I bought the boat, Mike's family had abandoned it.
It's an old wooden boat. This is what we deal with. If you're enjoying these, it would be really helpful to me to do a couple of things. First, do a like and subscribe because it's going to help me with this channel. And secondly, if you have any information on Kettenburgs, I would love to hear about it. Either if you own one or you know someone who owns those, if you know where one is, we would love to be able to build a current record of where these boats are and who has them. Every one of these boats that we can try to save is a piece of history that can get passed down to the next generation. And to me, that is the most exciting part of getting a chance to work on these classic wooden boats. All right, so it's a day after a really heavy rain, and I'm here to check the boat and see if the new hatches did what they're supposed to do, or if there's a lot of other water. Yep. That is a decent amount of water. And I got a feeling it's all coming in from the transom, which has some problems. Yep, there's water everywhere. Okay, so our investigation continues because there is a decent amount of water in here. Where are you coming from? So I've cleared out a lot of the things that were in here before. I wanted to see if I could figure out where any of the leaks have been coming from, so I wanted to take the bedding out, anything else that might be soaking up some of the water. Part of it appears to be coming from the mast. There's some damage around the mast here, and it needs a new shoe put on around it. We've currently got some plastic to try to help it out. Looks like there may be something coming in here. Now that is right below the edge where the deck is meeting in the front part of the cabin. And so if we look out here, they can see this is right along that edge. Well, it looks like there's a little bit here and a bunch back there. I think it might be that transom, because that is water where water is not supposed to be. Oh. Everything's wet up to that very last chamber before the transom. So it looks like we're gonna have to continue the search for where this leak is coming from. It might be the deck. The deck obviously needs some work right now. I'm hoping it's not coming from underneath. It's an old wooden boat. This is what we deal with. All right, so let's take a look and see what this vent looks like. Oh, that's a bad sign. That O-ring gasket is not supposed to be sticking like tar to the top of that. Are we gonna do this without redoing the rigging? Because that rain's coming and I want to be able to seal this up. That's gonna have to get cut. This guy just popped right off, and it's just bad. It's just bad. So there's definitely water that's coming in through that. Perfect. Okay, so I was able to move this little protective sleeve a little further back down into that hole. It's not designed terribly well. It really needs to be attached to something here so that it's not jamming, because that could very easily go back down into the wheel or up where it was loose, and it could cause damage to this wood if it's being used a lot. Got that hole. Let's see. Yeah, that's gonna work great. Now the next question is, are these other holes gonna line up?
There we go.
at least a few inches of water in it this morning. I don't know that the hatch helped very much. I'm sure it did a little bit, but there's still a decent amount of water coming in, so we're going to have to figure out how to seal up the transom next and see if that's where it's coming in or if it's coming in from somewhere else. We just keep plugging holes until there's no more water coming in, and that may just be the life of the boat.
What are your deck problems?
The deck problems is I didn't know what I was doing. That's the main problem.
Well, that's,
right?
We all have that problem.
And it was
on our boats.
right, and it was extremely expensive to get it done, even as I did, because the paint and everything else for it. So the problem is I don't think I got the mix right.
Yeah.
The epoxy to paint mix right, because I've got some cracks that are formed, and someone said that they think that maybe I put in too much hardener.
Well, this is how we learn. This is how we learn. I think it may have been Mike who had bought a couple of these. He was the first one to spline these boats.
Yeah.
And I think he had taken this out and he wasn't racing it. And they didn't want boats taken out of the racing fleet.
Oh, really?
So they didn't want somebody to buy the boat and then play with it. They wanted somebody who was really going to use it and who was going to race. When I bought the boat, I think I told you, they had Mike's family had abandoned it.
Right. So what was the story behind that? Because you never met Mike, right?
I think I may have met him somewhere along the line in years earlier. He was as I say, he was a little bit of a pariah to the fleet here,
right?
Because he wasn't racing,
right?
He had gone into assisted living, nursing home, something, and his daughter, I think is what I remember hearing, was in charge of paying all his bills.
Okay.
And she just stopped paying the marina bill.
Oh, wow.
Slip
Okay.
fee. And they could not reach her, and so they got a lien on the boat and were auctioning it off. And it was sitting on my dock. It was like 2 slips down from the bottom of the gangway, and I had to walk by it every day. I'd actually gotten on board the boat at one point because the cover was rotting and falling apart,
right.
And there was water in her, and I got on board and pumped her out at one point, and then they were auctioning her off. So I thought, well, I'll come down to the auction, and then I thought, no, I can't. I don't need another boat. I've got, boat here. I've got a dinghy here. I've got a couple of boats in Michigan. So I came down afterwards, and I said, went into the office, and I said, how'd the auction for Lally's PC go? And they said, nobody showed up.
Oh, wow. Nobody showed up at all.
And I said, they said, just make us an offer.
Wow.
And I said, well, what do you want? And they said something. I said, no, I can't do that. That's ridiculous. And they said something else, and I said, okay, what the hell? And they said, well, we can't, you can put a deposit on it now.
Right.
We still have to, wait. We have to notify them that we auctioned it off.
Right.
And they still have time to claim it and pay the fees.
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay, well then I can think about it. And then I just let it sit, and then I owned the boat.
Oh, wow.
And then it was only then that I realized I hadn't found out anything about insuring it or hauling it out or anything. And I started going to the yards over here, and they said, no, we're not going to haul it.
Yeah.
And I called, my insurance people and others, and they said, no, we're not going to insure that.
Yeah.
And I finally got hold of Jim Oberg down in San Diego, who has one of these in California. And he said, yeah, I can find somebody for you. But it was, getting it surveyed, just all of this. It's interesting how many surveyors have quit the business.
Oh, yeah. I had a hell of a time. So before I bought this, I was looking at a K40 up in San Francisco.
Right, I saw what you did with that.
Yeah.
The video.
And so that was, and what I didn't even put in there was that I couldn't get insurance. I'd spent months trying to find insurance, months trying to figure out where we could haul something out to even look at it, all the rest of that. And so it was a disaster. And by the time I found this one, I'd found State Farm down in San Diego, and they would cover it. So they did that, and then because this boat was already here, they were fine with it here. but no one around the area would haul it out. And down in King Harbor, where I ended up taking it to, we're not paying for anything. Right. You're going to sign a waiver that says anything happens, it's on you. So fine.
I offered over here to these guys. I said at Windward, I said, look, you guys, I've been hauling my boat out here since I brought it out here from New York in the 90s. I will sign anything.
Yeah.
You guys aren't responsible. And they said, no, can't do it. Yard insurance won't let us do it. We've got, I said, but you've got wooden boats here.
Yeah.
And they said, yeah. And because they're here, because they've been here, they're grandfathered in. We haul them out. But we're not going to do it.
It's fun to be part of the history of this. I've been thinking about getting a little plaque to put up everybody's names that are on here, because I've got everyone's names up through us of who's had it from the beginning on down to where we had it. And the guy who had it before, Mike, had painted it a powder blue. So it was a nice powder blue boat before Mike came and stripped it, and which, I like the wood look, but it was never finished in a way to make it good as a wood finished boat.
Right.
Because it's got all the little scars and stuff on it. You're like, it's not that pretty.
It's not a bright boat.
No.
And I think they look prettier painted.
Yeah.
Brightwork's beautiful. I always look at Brightwork and go, oh God. People come. I've got teak tow rails and winch pads and stuff. People can come by and go, God, that teak's just beautiful. And I think, yeah, write the check.
Exactly.
Write me a check for that beauty. But yeah, I think you see more of the lines with the white hull.
Yeah. It's every other one. This is the only one that's done like this. All the rest of them are painted, and they are really pretty. And especially if they have a little bit of bright work on the top.
Right.
Then it looks sleek. It looks really gorgeous, and I like the way some of them are built. I like that some of the rails and stuff are a little higher on a few of the other ones.
Right.
Cabin design's a little bit different. So do you know if this one ever actually had the toilet in them, and then when they pulled it out, because it's got the through hole for it here.
Probably did. I think if it had that cabinet, I think it probably had the toilet. And these were the the post-war ones were all the longer cabin too.
Right.
I think
because the other ones only went up to the
pre-war
the
went
mast.
just before the mast. You had more deck to work on.
Right.
Which was good, but this makes it much more habitable down below. My old boat had an old patch that was a motor well.
Oh, okay. I haven't
cockpit.
seen one here for that. I've also seen where they've moved the boom to control to here in the center.
I had that in the old boat, a Barney post to go here.
And Mary Ellen had one, and it just looks like it's in a terrible position.
Well, it's a real knee banger, but it's great for controlling.
It's a lot better for because having it back here, first off, that amount of line, it's constantly dragging in the water when you do have it all out.
Yeah. Well, it's not. Mine still had a traveler back there, except the traveler was just aft of the cockpit.
That's where I've seen a lot of the other ones too. I haven't seen any of them back that far.
Yeah.
Most of them are just past the cockpit.
Traveler just after the cockpit, and then it came up here and down to a Barney post, which when you were at the helm, you could control it from here rather than having it up there and having it drag out there. If you have a cam cleat on here, getting it in and out of there is tricky, and down here you can just pull it in and have everything controlled. But it's a knee banger, and it's right in the middle.
Yep.
Stuck up,
And it's probably better for this. I can understand why they would do it for the racing. And I can see why if Mike wasn't racing it, then because this thing didn't have, this thing isn't set up for the spinnaker. Yeah. So I've noticed on the other ones, they have a different set of rigging up in the front. There's an attachment for it, and then none of it's on this boat.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm guessing that Mike took all that off. It's got a pull, that polished pull that's in there.
That's really a whisker pull. That's just to pull the jib out. So when you're going downwind, you stick one end of it in the clew for the jib, and then is there a ring on the mast here?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, and that just clips to that. So when you're going dead downwind, instead of just having the sail flapping around, you can wing and wing it. You can put it out on the upwind side and pull it out, and then you just pull in on the jib sheet on that side, and it holds it in position.
Okay. I wondered what that was for, because it wasn't long enough for the spinnaker pull.
Right.
It wasn't the right design for it, because I've seen a couple of them. So I was looking at, because this boat has the spinnaker from the Mary Ellen, which is sitting down at Lammy. And I don't know how it got here, but it was on when I bought it. It was in one of those bags. But obviously this hasn't been rigged for a spinnaker in forever. So somehow those two people knew each other, or said, here's the thing from whatever, because that one, I think the Mary Ellen had been owned by a kid who was just partying on it and just trashed the damn thing. And it's been on the hard for 8 years. It's been out of the water.
Is it recoverable? Is it?
Maybe I was looking at it to see if maybe it's something that can be, but it's going to take some serious work.
Yeah.
I mean, this has cost me nearly 30.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was so deep into it when I sold it to you. It was like it was one of those things where the only way to save money on this is to not have it anymore.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, and so I've been trying not to spend much this year on it, but it's the $500 or $600 for just sitting here every month as it is, and then
I've said about my boat the last few months when I didn't have a boom on it and was waiting for new sales and all of the things that I've gone through. I said it's become the most expensive place to nap in town.
Exactly.
Sitting around the marina.
Well, I need to get someone to come out with me, because I can't single handle. I nearly ran it into the fucking wall over here.
You did?
Yeah.
This is tight in here. This is
It's really it's way too tight.
It's great coming in. It's not bad coming in. You're going to handle it, but this is awfully close.
You have it's back up, and if you aren't already moving forward by the time you're swinging out, you're dead.
Yeah.
So I found out that real quick. And so I need to find someone who
call me sometime
likes to go out.
when you want to go out and see if I'm around.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And I'll go out with you.
Noticed yesterday when we were clearing out some of the water that there is some rot. So just noticing this piece here, which this wood is falling apart. This is not good. So there's definitely some microbes down there trying to eat the wood. And then down below, this is similar.